I think the key objective for us really is to kind of put across how we think we're solving the kind of problem that local authorities around London and around the world have with alternative weed control. We firmly believe that we have created or made viable, alternative weed control a viable solution. So I hope by the end of this talk you'll understand how we're going about it and why we think it's viable. We've heard a lot about the alternative space today, and we've heard a lot about how there's differing legislation around the world, and we have a footprint globally now. But I think the kind of key thing to tap in on is that the real demand comes from a desire, a public desire, to live in a healthier, happy place. So again, I want to kind of touch on the fact that our systems are not only about vegetation control, but also as a kind of green urban management systems. Foam stream is a combination of hot water and a natural organic foam. The foam is completely inert, is completely biodegradable, as I'll point out in a second, is made up of natural plants, sugars and oils. But really what it is we've come up with the first real effective way of generating heat and transferring it in the atmosphere without losing heat. And I'll go on to explain what that does to the plants in a second. As I mentioned, our foam is made up of potato, corn, maize, rape, oilseed rape. We actually use a real tiny amount of foam. When you see a picture, or if you look over there, it looks like a big pile of foam. It's actually 99.5% water and only the 0.5% foam. But the foam has such an important effect of the transferal of heat at one stage, and then the retention of heat in the second stage. So the key thing to take away from that really is the foam stream does three key things. One, it's killing the weeds that are on top. Absolutely everything gets killed really quickly. The second thing it's doing, as we just heard from your talk on the Japanese knotweed, is you get all those seeds that sit on top. So whether it be the flowering weed or the seeds that are sitting on the ground, we sterilize those seeds. So adoption of foam stream, fine, you might do it 3 times in year 1, but or 4 times if it had been a kind of an area that had been left for kind of years and you treat it at the end of the season, whatever it may be. But there's a net reduction of weed treatment cycles, and I'll kind of touch on the treatment cycles and why those are really important when it comes down to the kind of, I suppose, the economics of alternative weed control. Introducing our delivery devices is, I suppose, quite important at this stage. So what the video would have shown would have been the combination of hot water and foam coming out of the lance. Now, it's a thermal technology, as is obviously the hot water and the steam system. So we generate that inside our systems. Hammersmith and Fulham are running our M1200 series, and we've just launched our M600 series, which we're really excited about. It's a silent system. It's powered by propane, so a further reduction in kind of carbon emissions. Running silent is ideal and can go in the back of any kind of ATV or existing municipal machinery. Oh yeah, I've called it foam stream economics because I think this is the important phase, because everyone we speak to within the space grapples with the same question. It's like, how can I possibly justify this change in costing of weed control? So what I want to do is just address how weed control is costed up, for those who don't know. It's a pretty simple equation using your consumables, your diesel, in our case your foam, what speed you're doing, how much area you can cover within, let's just say, a certain hour, and then your labor costs and any kind of associated trainings behind that. So clearly, the lower the OPEX you had, the lower the consumable cost, and the wider area you can treat means you're going to get a lower number. And that kind of derives for a cost per square foot or per square meter. And then the number of times you have to go back and do that, then you kind of end up with an annualized cost. So that's really the most effective way of doing it. So why we firmly believe that foam stream has the lowest cost of ownership within the alternative space is because our treatment cycles are 2 to 3 times a year. Well, hot water, closer to 6. Steam, we were very generous at 10. I mean, in reality, more. Burning, 14. And anyone who uses strimming or to do their weed control, you know that the weeds are growing behind you just as you take the tops off. So it's that accumulative effect of labour or consumables that make the other alternatives more expensive than us. And certainly the fact that we have, there are a number of third-party validations to the fact that our treatment cycles and regrowth are similar to that of glyphosate. So I want to kind of give you a couple of examples. This is a Australian steam company that we encountered in America, and there was a kind of comparative study done on that. So I don't want to go through this line by line, but I think in essence you can imagine why, whereas you might be facing a decision like, hang on, this is £10,000 cheaper on the capital side, but if you're going to keep a bit of machinery for 5 years, admittedly, and this is in US dollars, you can see why the increased operating cost means that, and a kind of total cost of ownership, if I'm not getting too detailed here, means that foam stream is far more effective. The main variables within this example would be the kind of the speed of steam is much slower, and the treatment cycles, i.e. the regrowth. So hopefully now that is kind of stuck a bit. This is an example closer to home. We were approached by councillors in Glastonbury who were really keen to move away from it, made a pledge, but came to us saying, listen, we've got a problem. Most of us want to move away from it, but austerity, tight budgets, we can't quite work out how to justify the expenditure of the capital goods when we have people strimming. So we said, fine, we'll place one of our machines with you, get a third-party contractor to do the trial. You do the hand weeding and the strimming in your area, and we'll do, and they can use our system to use the other. Anyway, so without going into too much detail, we were proven out that we were just infinitely faster and cheaper, and therefore more cost-effective. And when you start to extrapolate those numbers over the kind of 5-year period that you might do with capital goods, you start to see that the economics for foam stream were far better than they were for just kind of keeping hold of people and putting the council workforce to work on things that nobody likes doing. And it's an ineffective management of people's time manually picking weeds. Back to the fish and chips example, yet another one. This was from Canada. Vinegar, I don't know if anyone is viably looking at vinegar. I mean, sure, it works from time to time if the weather's right. You could certainly do it now, but if the weather wasn't right, it would be a complete waste of time. It's acidic, it's an acid, so that's just another example of the kind of suite of alternative solutions that have risen up and used the world over. So, yeah, I suppose Weedingtech, we've always been really saddened by the fact that we're a UK company, a UK manufacturing company, a high growth company, and we derive 90% of our revenue outside of the UK. Fair enough, you know, the kind of infancy of what we see as a high growth sector, which is the alternative weed control or vegetation management sector, but you know, again, it's because of people like Pan who are raising the flag for us and other companies like us who provide these solutions. Means that we're starting to see a lot more kind of I suppose a lot more interest within the UK. We have some really exciting customers. Sadly, G. Burley's couldn't be here. They've adopted our technology of late. They're the Royal Landscaping warrant holders, and they've seen some brilliant results. We've just given you a flavour of some of our kind of global clients. I mean, Parks, Central Park being our kind of celebrity name-dropping one. But we have our distribution network goes from Auckland to Alaska now. So, you know, the people are out there, and I guess if this shows anything, it means that our solution has been tried, tested, our foam has been validated by every authority under the sun. So yeah, you know, we're kind of really proud and really want to work with London councils, because until all the London councils understand our proposition, we can't reasonably expect it to be translated into lots of different languages and for other people to get it. So, you know, like with Hammersmith and Fulham, if anyone from any council is interested in getting behind this, whether it be understanding it or trialing it, then we're certainly a kind of proactive company in that regard. So we soon realized we were our own worst enemies when it came to weed control. Because with our treatment cycles being 2 to 3 times a year, we were saying on one hand, right, here's a relatively high capital cost for investment, but once you've done your weed control, it's going to sit on your shelf, and nobody liked that. And it was really, we kind of stumbled into how effective we were with moss and algae, and have really kind of grown out there. We loved it because it gave our machinery more relevance. I know Hammersmith and Fulham, we're using it for moss control and weed control throughout the winter. Equally, our kind of cleaning solution has become far more popular around the world. So just with small changes of lances and still using our high heat system, we get incredible results in cleaning. So whether it be looking after your existing assets in parks or cleaning pavestones in cemeteries, or as we're starting to do now, and rather kind of bizarrely for this, the killing of bacteria on the west coast of America. So the same way that we kill weeds with our retained heat above a certain kill zone, which starts to denature the plant. I didn't really cover this. It was also going to be done by the video, but we've also realised that we kill bacteria. So I suppose different people have different responsibilities in that regard. But our cleaning solutions are absolutely brilliant. It's high heat retention and low pressure. So there's a real viable alternative to in the kind of cleaning world. So again, when the investment is being made, it's not just a like for like with your weed control budget. It can be shared amongst the parks, the streets, and certainly the kind of cleaning. So again, now I just want to kind of go through and just clearly go through, I suppose, we broke it down into 5 different areas that we think that we would hope that we can solve the problems that you have within your boroughs. We know that you can't spray glyphosate a few days outside of rain or sunshine. You can certainly do with us. Our whole design methodology is easy to use, hard to break. So all of our machinery is touchscreen, very simple fault guides. We try and make sure that whichever operator is using it, it's going to be really easy, so you get the least amount of kind of downtime. We'll kind of get on to the next one soon. So, working with councils, least treatment cycles, sterilising seeds, all weather, and suitable for all surfaces. I think those are really key, and certainly that would be where Weedingtech would be stronger than any other kind of solution, insofar as we could do a number of different surfaces. For those in weed control, and this potentially could be one for the contractors, the fact that you don't have to have any pesticide license is really positively fed back to us. There's a cost associated with it, but mostly it's a kind of real nuisance. Certainly the kind of posting of when you're going to have to do work and the invariable letters that land in your inboxes once those things have been posted. Again, ease of use is I suppose I kind of covered that out of sync, but equally the existing infrastructure, we now have a fleet of 3 different machines that can fit on a real wide range of municipal machinery. We in the sector are deeply proud to be associated with kind of pioneering projects like the one that Hammersmith and Fulham have led. I don't know, we've certainly done various bits of independent polling, and the statistics, the number of people, residents who want to live in a glyphosate-free world, given the option, are, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'll happily share them, 68% I think that the data was. So quite clearly we all live in communities where people don't want to have chemicals sprayed. We also live and work in environments where people don't understand how it can be viable, don't understand the economics of it. Hopefully days like today will kind of get the word out, and we can all start to realise that there are different ways and really practical ways of doing it, and people are doing it the world over. Yes, as that says, thank you very much.